All right, so let's get going here. I appreciate everybody coming here into joining us for our monthly webinars that we are doing. We got to, if you want to earn, you got to learn, you got to earn, and so we're trying to help business owners out here with giving them some great information and being able to grow their businesses. But I really want to thank everybody for coming out here and joining us for the webinar here today, whether you're joining us here live or on the recorded. I'm recording this, so even if you're on here, you'll be getting a link to be able to watch this at a later date as well. But really, it really comes down to is thanking you for your time, because you could be spending your time doing a lot of other things, and really your time is your most valuable asset. And there's an old saying that says that once you spent all your money, you could always make it back, but once you spent your time, then it's gone forever. So I really want to thank you for coming out here and really congratulate you again on your investment into being part of this webinar. So, when it comes down to what I always like to say is that business doesn't mean busyness, right? Busyness. It's one of those things that's, we sit there and we're doing, and we're not getting the results that we want, right? As we always say, do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. That's the definition of what? Insanity. So my goal here today is if you go back to go back to your office this afternoon and doing the same things you did before you joined our webinar, and you're going to get the same results. So it's how you invest your time is the key to really your business success. And my goal here today is to get you to walk away with 1, 2, or possibly 3 different ideas that you could take back and use right away. So there's a few people on here that I know, and some of them that I have not personally met yet. So let me introduce myself. My name is Steve Gornson. I'm the president of Action Coach here in Jacksonville, Florida. I've owned and operated the Jacksonville office here since 2004. My background's in advertising, sales, marketing research. Action Coach was founded almost 26 years ago by our founder, which is a master business coach, Brad Sugars, who is my business mentor. And since then, he has grown the Action Coach brand to, I believe it's like 70 different countries with 1,000 offices worldwide. And what I always like to say is that what my clients get from me is I help them to work smarter, not harder. I hope that sounds interesting to you, because that's what we're going to be sort of talking about. But what I do as a business coach is help you to get your businesses working harder so you don't have to, and you can enjoy more life. And that's really what we're all about here, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's go in and we'll talk a little bit about what's my objective as a coach. It's really to sharpen your business intuition and help you focus on the factors that really matter in your business. What's going to make it thrive is how do we create high performance, and by working on those solutions that matter. Because when we're in busyness mode, we're doing, we're not focusing on what the most profitable task that we're doing at that particular time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be rewarding you guys today for taking your time to listen to and watch this webinar here. It's going to probably be about a 30-minute investment in your time. But I want you to think about this. If you went ahead and just started slashing all your expenses by 10, 5, maybe just even 2%, how much would that add to your bottom line? Not really that much. So what we're going to be focusing on today are what are the strategies and the simplest ways for you to really create massive profits in the business. And you're going to leave here, as I said before, with some very actionable ideas to grow your business, because we're not theorists at Action Coach. Our company is called Action Coach, not Think About It Coach. So my promise again is to let you leave with these actionable ideas. And if you think about it, and maybe it's sad, it's like when we go to school not to be a business owner. We go to school to learn a trade, to, you know, to be a doctor, a CPA, a lawyer, a chef, whatever it is, but no one really ever taught us how to be a business owner. And that's what I'm going to be sort of focusing on. As a business owner, what are the things that you need to focus on to really create that business of your dream? Because most of us, what causes our problems is, and why we're so busy is that we're running around working on things and we're trying to put out fires, right? We're trying to put out, we're not looking at what the root cause of these problems are. We're just going in and trying to put Band-Aids on different things so we can keep moving forward, because we're working in reactive mode instead of proactive mode. So we need to sit down and look at is how are we investing our time and efforts and make sure that we're focusing on solutions that matter. You know, help you to focus on what you don't really see in the business, and hopefully that's what I'm going to try to focus on a little bit here today is get you to peek in what are the areas in your business that you need to be, you know, pull the cover back a little bit and say, hey, I need to be knowing these things in my business itself. So we're going to start off here with what we call is, we have to start off with, if we want to create a successful business, we need to define what that is. So an action coach or entrepreneurial version of a successful business is very simple. It's a commercial profitable enterprise, one that works and could work without you. Because if your business is not working, if the business can't work without you, you don't own a business, you just own a job, right? It might be a good job and you might be happy with what you're doing, but it's not a business. How do we create a business? You know, so, you know, think about it. When you started your business, what were your dreams? You know, what were you trying to do? You know, we need to focus. You didn't create this business so you could be working more hours than all your employees that you have, right? We need to start working on the business and not in the business. You know, because we started with that big dream, yeah, but we need to sit down and take a look at where we are now. You know, what revenue are we generating in the business? You know, are you living in the home that you've always dreamed of, or just one that you're satisfied with? Or what are you driving? Are you making the right types of investments for your future? You know, do you have future travel plans of what you're trying to do? Do you have time that you're enjoying time with the family right now? You know, how much time are you working in the business? Is that really what you want to be doing? And then we need to take a look at, where do we want to be 5 years from now? Start thinking about, start dreaming about it, is where do you want to be 5 years from now? You know, and ask yourself these same questions. What revenue do you want to be generating in your business? You know, where do you want to live? What cars do you want to drive? The investments, what type of investments do you want to be looking in? And not just stocks and bonds. You want to be investing in other business. You want to be investing in real estate. But how do we sort of sit down and get there? And the business should be not the tool that sucks the life out of you, but it should be the tool to help you achieve these goals. Hope that sort of makes sense with you. So at Action Coach, we actually have a 6-step systematic approach to get our business to create that commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. And the first part of it is the mastery stage, right? We have to put all of the fires out and start working in proactive mode instead of reactive mode. So what do we need? We need to have money mastery. We need to make sure that we know what our break even is in the business. We need to know what our, you know, are we pricing our products or services correctly to generate a profit, right? Or do we have the right team and systems in place to help them deliver the product or service in the way the company expects? Because once we have those basic masteries of those areas, we get rid of the chaos. That we can now move on we have some stability. We can now move on to the niche stage, which is all about predictable cash flow in the business. Because, you know, this is all about creating what's your unique selling proposition. How do you differentiate from your competition? How do we sell on value and not on price? How do we market and generate more leads? And this is really the step that we're going to be talking and spending a lot of time on in this seminar. But there's a reason that we have to do mastery before niche, because if we start generating all this leads and start bringing in all this sales and we can't handle it, or we're not priced properly, we're going to sell ourselves into bankruptcy, or we're going to create more chaos in the business. So now once we have some cash in the business, we can now working on leverage, which is doing more with less. We start working on efficiencies. We can now invest in these higher level systems within our business, which allows us now time to develop and create our dream team. This is where we now create structure for growth. We can't attract our dream team when we're in the mastery stage. Why? Because we haven't built a business that would attract the best people in your industry to come. But now once we've created that structure to grow the business and where they can thrive on, and a place where they want to work at, now we can start attracting them. And then once we have that, now we can start working on the synergy stage, which is all about creating a well-oiled machine, and we start looking at how do we replace you into the day-to-day aspects of your business, and then now you can receive passive income from your business. You're now ready to sell it because the value is in the team and the business and not in you. Or you could start, you want to franchise it, open up in multiple markets. Now you have the ability to do that and make it simple and easy. So when it really comes, what we're going to be talking about today is how do we leverage ourselves? Because we can leverage ourselves with the people within our business, the systems, having different technology. But what we're going to focus on today is how do we leverage our sales and marketing, right? And we're going to focus on what are the 5 ways, what are the 5 different strategies or drivers of profitability that every business needs to be able to focus on. All right, so with that all said, let's go ahead and let's take a look at this, because some people think that sales and marketing is what? An expense. Why is it expense? Should it be an expense? In most cases, yes. Why? Because the business owner is spending money and the ads aren't working and they were poorly conceived. And so they're just throwing their money out the door. They're just winging it. It's like, let me throw this out and see what sticks. There's a study that's done that's usually it's like 8 out of 10 ads don't work. And I've seen 2 ads for the same product, I think it was the same service, and one ad sold 19.5 times more than the other ad. So what's the difference within it? Some ads work, some ads don't. But the point that we need to do is we need to change our mindset. We need to sit down, instead of thinking of sales and marketing as an expense, we need to now look at sales and marketing as an investment, right? Why is it an investment? Because for every dollar that goes out, there's more money coming in. It's as simple as this. But the question is why is that true for some people, for some businesses, and not for others, right? What are the things that successful businesses are doing that turns their sales and marketing into an investment? It's very simple. They focus on 2 different things. The first one is they're testing the different advertising and the marketing they're doing, and they're measuring what? The results. So are we actually measuring the results of our ad? Are we testing, or do we just have one ad out there, we're going to see if it works, and if it doesn't, or are we running 2 or 3 ads with 2 to 3 different headlines so we can see what headline is working or which ad gives us the best response, so we can start now investing more money into ads that are working and ones that are not? Like with that one ad, if they were testing and measuring and saw that one ad was doing 19.5% times more better than the other one, let's put our money in that end and let's cut out the other one. Simple, right? Because really marketing is math when it really comes down to it. We're going to talk about that in a second. But think about, when I look at a lot of ads, I see a lot of ads that I call our tombstone ads, right? What do? They start with their name on top, and then there's a list of what they did or what they're going to do or what they do. Your ad should really be focusing on telling the prospects what you're going to do for them, what problems that you will solve that they have to make your life easier. And the biggest mistake that a lot of people do when they're trying to do their marketing is they put their name on top of the ad. And I swear to you, nobody cares about the name of your business except you and your mother, right? What do they really care about is your product or service going to make my life better, easier, let me do something faster, whatever it is, right? So the headline, you should have a headline of the ad. This is the ad for your ad that gets their attention to get you to read the copy of the ad, which will give you the reason why you should now either buy this product or call this phone number or click on this link. Does that make sense? So again, where it comes down to now is once we're measuring this, we need to think about it is, and it's coming back to where I said that marketing is math. What do I mean by that? So there's two sides of marketing. The first one is acquisition cost. It's how much does it cost you to buy a customer. One of the books that Brad Sugars has written is called Buying Customers. He just came out with a updated version as Buying Customers 2.0. And really it spends and really takes a lot of time going through this. I'm going to take maybe just about 30 seconds to talk about this concept, but buy the book. It will give you some great information. So so think about it this way. Let's just use the example here. It's a simple example so we can understand the numbers. So you invested $300 in advertising, you got 10 customers. So simple, you paid $30 for each customer. So the question is how do we test and measure? So what can we do to reduce the number, reduce that acquisition cost for running our ads? It's as simple as that. You know, because if you sit down and let's say you're a restaurant and your average ticket is $15, but you know every time you run an ad, it costs you $30 to get that person. Is that good or bad? Well, it depends. If they come in that one time and never come again, you just lost money. If they come a second time, you just broke even, right? So the question is what is now, when we're looking at advertising, is not only the acquisition cost, but what's the lifetime value of that customer? So if you know that customer is going to spend $550 with you over a 6-year period, now that's $3,300 for you. But you have to know what those average numbers are. So you know that you could spend $300, buy a customer for 30 bucks, and now over the next 6 years, the average customer is going to spend $3,300 with you. That's a pretty decent investment. 300 for 3,300. You can't do much better than that, right? But that's what I'm saying is marketing is math. We need to understand and know the numbers, right? So, but what are the most important numbers that we need to understand in the business? And this is where marketing leverage comes in. This is the secret sauce of Action Coach that we share with all of our clients. All right, and it's the 5 ways to really increase the profits of your business. So I want you to think about it this way. We all should know how many customers we have. We all know what our revenue is, right? The second thing, then the third thing is we should know whether we have profits or not. You know, there's a lot of businesses that I know that really aren't aware of whether they know if they have money in the bank, but they don't know if their business is profitable or if they're losing money or what. That's a whole other issue. That should probably be a whole other webinar that we sit down and focus on. But let's get back here into our how do we drive profitability in the business. So that what these 3 things have in common, the customers, revenue, profits, they're all outcomes, right? I guess can't wake up one day and say, hey, I want more customers. It doesn't work that way, right? But so now we need to sit down and say, what are the drivers? What are things I need to do to get more customers? When I ask people, it's, oh, go out and I need to advertise more. I need to create a better website. I need sales training, right? These are all strategies to the 2 drivers. So let's take a look at it. So when we sit down and break things down to the lowest common denominator, there's 2 factors that will lead us to more customers. Is the number of leads that we're generating on a weekly, monthly, annual basis, and then of those leads, what % are we converting to customers? It's as simple as that. All the other strategies that I talked about were just strategies to increase one of those 2 numbers. So now once we have our customers and we know how many customers we have, now is what do I do to get our customers to come back again and again? And then when they do spend with me, what is the average ticket of that? You know, some people have a very long sales process. Or you can go ahead and you might sell somebody, but they might not be ready to buy another product or do business with you for another 3 to 5 years. But what are the things that you're doing to make sure that you're increasing that lifetime value of the customer that you have? And then the last factor is going from revenue to profitability that drives a profit is understanding our profit margin. So when we sit down and we look at this, the 5 drivers to those outcomes is leads, number of leads times conversion rate will equal our customers. Multiply that by the average number of transactions in our average sale. You know, and if you're like an attorney or a CPA out there, that you could exchange some of this for billable. What's my average billable hours per client? What's my average billable rate? That's one way of looking at this too. So, and then we multiply that by our revenue to equal and then multiply it by our profit margins to equal our profits. Now, this is just a simple version of this formula, because a lot of times if you have a long sales process, you might want to measure multiple conversion rates, like from lead to a conversation or a meeting with somebody, right? That's one conversation, that's one conversion rate. Then from that conversation, getting them to put together a quote or a proposal. And then from proposal and quote to sale, right? So, and then, but the number from lead to sale is the average conversion rate. But why is it important to measure each of those steps along those ways? Because when you divide and multiply that out, what happens is you're now looking deeper. You're looking at what are some of the root causes. Where's the bottlenecks along your sales process? Does that make sense? All right, so let's put some numbers to this, and I think that it will really make some sense to you. All right, so here's our formula that we just spoke about. So again, these numbers are just to give an example. We could add zeros, we could subtract zeros, but the percentages in the formula works. So let's take so we have this small business. Let's say we just have a small business, and over the year they generate 4,000 leads. Then they know they convert 25% of them, gives them 1,000 customers. And then they know that by tracking that the average customer will come back and buy from them 2 times over the year, and they will spend, each one will spend an average of $100, generating $200,000 in revenue. Our margins are at 25%, so we get $50,000 in profit. So now how do we increase that? As I mentioned earlier, my background has been in advertising and marketing and in sales. So when I was working with clients, I love working with that small, medium-sized business owner, and they would come to me and say, Steve, hey, we need to build our business up. We just need to grow. And I didn't look at what were the causes of any of those things. So I said, okay, let's put together this great marketing campaign. That's why they're calling me, because that's what I do. And boom, we're going to put together an advertising campaign and start generating some leads into this business so they can get some more customers. So, you know, there was something that I learned once I became an action coach, that if you only have one tool in your tool case, you know, let's say if the only tool that you have is a hammer, every solution is a nail, right? So, you know, we sit down and we look at this, and what I've been able to do as an action coach is sort of start creating and now have more tools to be able to help business owners. But let's say, okay, we have this, we'll start off with our one tool, and we go ahead and we put together this great advertising and marketing campaign, and we now doubled or increased our number of leads by 50%. Wow, everybody would be excited, say, oh, this is the best campaign ever. So we know our numbers, so we know that we closed 25% of them. That gives us 1,500 customers. Oh, we're ecstatic. We got now 500 more customers this year, and we know that the average one comes back twice. They're going to spend an average of $100 with us. And so now we have, oh, wow, we have $100,000 more. We've increased our revenue by 50%, and we sit down and we know our margins are at 25%. So now we have a 50% more profitability in the business. We have $75,000. We should be ecstatic, right? Absolutely not. Why would you not be happy with these numbers? Because you're working your butt off. You have to deal with 200 more leads. Do you have time for that? You have to deal with 500 more customers Do you have the infrastructure to be able to do that? To make sure that the average customer is happy so they do come back 2 times and our margins are the same right now. So what I want to do is with Action Coach, now that I have more tools in my toolbox, if you will, we're now going to focus on not just leads, we're going to focus on each of these 5 drivers. And we have tools for each of these numbers. Because now instead of having to increase one area by 50%, we're going to focus and see what happens when we work on each and we create a plan to increase each of these by just 10%. So instead of going from 4,000 to 6,000 leads, we're going to 4,400. So how do we do that? We're going to start testing and measuring, right? Do we have a written referral strategy? Does our client know what an A referral looks like? Are we communicating to our client, or are they just sending us anybody that they think that could use our product or service? Do we have a written marketing plan with specific goals of what we need to get out of each strategy so we can test and measure? We know that if these strategies are working or not, if they're an investment or are they just an expense, right? But if we're doing these strategies, we should be able to at least do 10% better than what we're doing right now with the leads. But now at the same time, what strategies are we going to implement so we could work on our conversion rates or increase it from 25 to 27.5%? Do we have a written sales methodology, right? Do we have ongoing sales training? I guarantee that if you just start measuring your conversion rate, it'll probably increase by 10%. Just by measuring it, because you're going to be more actively thinking about it. You're going to be trying a little bit harder and doing it. But maybe we're going to sit down and we offer a guarantee, right, in our business, because that will lower the threshold of people being afraid to do business with us or commit with us, right? Somebody I was working with, a certified financial planner, it's like, I can't guarantee returns on somebody. But I sat down and we started talking. I said, what is the client's biggest fear? And his biggest fear that they have is when they have an issue that comes up, they want to know that they can get hold of me and I'm going to return their phone call. So I said, what is a reasonable amount of time? And he said, they're happy. If I can get back with them within a day, they should be happy. So I said, that's our guarantee. You guarantee that you will get back with them within a 24-hour period. Boom. And it lowered the threshold and allowed him to differentiate himself from his competition and be able to increase his conversion rate. So now we've increased that by 10%. So now instead of 1,500 customers, we're dealing with 290 less for only 1,210 customers. But we haven't stopped there. We're now working on what strategies do we do to increase the number of transactions of how we get our clients to come back sooner. Are we offering customer service training? Let me stop there. I hate the word customer service, because customer service doesn't mean anything to anybody. That is just what is expected. You're supposed to, the people are paying you, you should serve them, right? What's the real goal? Is happy customers. So do you have training in place with your team to create happy customers? Because happy customers will return and they will refer their friends, families, and business associates to also do business with you, right? So are we just doing something simple like, what about just asking them to come back? There was all the time, every year, I'm always going back and calling previous clients and saying, hey, where are you doing? This is the time of year if you've created a strategic plan for 2020 yet. And you'd be surprised. It's like, no, Steve, really, well, let's sit down and let's put together a program for you. Boom. And it's only because I asked, surprisingly, that, because they're running around and they're still putting out fires, right? So now with all these strategies, again, we're not trying to go from 2 to 4 transactions, but just, again, how do we increase this by 10%, going from 2 to 2.2, right? And then again, we start adding strategies to increase our average dollar sale. Just increase your rates by 10%, and you will be able to you're not going to lose customers. Well, you will, but you're going to actually gain more money, right? I was working with a CPA, and They wanted to get rid of their low-level clients, the ones that were taking up a lot of time and not paying them, were paying them really slow. So they went ahead and raised their rates. And they lost about maybe 10 to 15% of the bottom of their clients that didn't want to pay for the service that they were now providing, and everybody else did. And so they are now working with less people and making more. It's not brain surgery, people, but it's not going to happen by accident. That's the key. It's not going to happen by accident. So now when we sit down and we look at it, our revenue isn't at 300,000, but it's pretty close. It's almost 293,000. But at the same time, what are we doing what strategies are we implementing to increase our profit margins by just 10%, right? Does our team know what our high margin items are, right? What products that we sell can, that we make a higher margin or a commission on, right? Do we stop selling on value, or do we stop discounting and sell on value and not on price, right? On the retail end, instead of buying, instead of saying 50% off, we're going to sit down and say, okay, buy two, get one free, right? Those are some of the things that we could do, or there's a variety of different programs that you can offer, different programs that can help a client, but that might be more profitable for the business. It might be the right product for that particular client itself. So again, and then this is where it would be one strategy that we sit down and look at and say, all right, let's look and see what happens if we cut our expenses. Can we cut our expenses 10% across the board? Because we need to do that from time to time, because there's price creep on certain different services that we have, but we're not getting any better service. Or sometimes the service gets worse because they take us for granted. So let's freshen this up and let's see if there are vendors that really want to partner with us, and if they are going to charge us, they're going to increase the value with it. So now when we add this up, by increasing just 10% in each of these 5 areas, we're actually making over $80,000 in profitability. So we're working with 1,600 less leads. We're working with 290 less customers, but we're making $5,000 more. Focusing on just one area, especially on the top of this formula, is the recipe for working harder. But when we create a strategy in dealing with each of these 5 different areas, now we're working smarter, not harder. Does that make sense? So the question is the first step is, do you know these numbers in your business? Do you have a written plan to what strategies are you going to implement and test and measure to see if they're working? Because with this formula, that's a 46% increase in your revenue, but it's a 61% increase in your bottom line profits. Sell is got to work smarter, not harder. So let's have a little bit of fun before we leave here. What would happen if we increase this by $100,000? I mean, 100%, right? Let's put those numbers in. Look at that bottom line. If we increase each of those 5 areas by 100%, we go from $50,000 to $1.6 million. So again, 10% is that minimum of what we do, but once we start leveraging and we start being able to go ahead and maybe we start opening more, multiple locations, or we bring on more salespeople, or we have that ability to leverage to get these numbers up. And that is really the important thing. So you might be sitting there and asking yourself, hey, is this really possible in my business? And I cannot answer that. I don't know. It's your business. But my question is I know your business can probably handle it. The question is can you? Are you going to be able to grow into that person that needs to make this happen? Because you weren't doing it before, but are you going to grow into that person that's going to be disciplined enough to track these 5 numbers and implement strategies to be able to grow these numbers itself? Because I guarantee dreams do come true, right? You have to hold on to your dreams. We have to start thinking like an entrepreneur. We need to plan for our future, because you got to change the way we're doing now if we expect different results. It's as simple as that. Hold on to those dreams that we have. They're real. But are you ready to become that person you need to be to create the results that you want? So my question is what are you going to do if you start working smarter, not harder? What would you do with an extra 300 hours per year? That's just an hour a day. That's 5 to 6 hours a week more. What would you do with that precious time? Because time is our most valuable asset. Would you spend it maybe with doing the things that you love, spending it with the people that are most important to you? In my life, my family is number one. And I got a daughter living in New York, a son in California. I got kids in school in Pennsylvania. And it's like 2 times a year, in the spring and the fall, no matter what's happening, we stop what we're doing and we come together as a family for a week. And we spend that because we know that time is precious that we have, because we don't really get to enjoy ourselves so much. But if we don't make the time or have the ability to do that, that will never happen. Hope that makes sense to you. So I'm going to end. Hope you got some really good ideas and practical ideas that you could take and apply back to your business. But I want to leave you with these two quotes from Jim Rohn. He's like a success guru. He passed away a few years ago. First one he says is, never wish your life was easier, wish you were better. You need to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Because I want you to think about it. What happens when you go ahead and you create these big goals for yourself and you start telling certain people, they start laughing at you. And you go, are you crazy? But why are they laughing at you? They're laughing at you because they see the person as you are today, not the person that you know that you will become to be able to achieve the goals that you want. Does that make sense? What are we going to do to grow into that person that we need to become? And Brad Sugar sums it up. He's the founder of Action Coach. He says, where you'll be in 5 years will depend on the books you read, most important, the people you associate, and the actions you take. Maybe that's why he called his company Action Coach. But when Brad was, I think, 16 years old, he went and he saw Jim Rohn in Australia. And he went up to him as a young kid and said, Mr. Rohn, he went and talked to him at one of the breaks and says, what should I do at 16 years old? What should I do to ensure my success? And he told him something simple: read a book a week. If you focus on reading a book a week, you will gain the knowledge to be able to become the person that you were meant to be able to live the dreams that you have right now. And that's why he has created and owned and sold multiple businesses worldwide, created Action Coach to the company that it is today. And he's also known as one of the leading business coaches around the world. So with that, I want you to understand, as my role as a coach is help my clients get that bird's eye view of their business. Hopefully I was able to sort of pull you back out of the business and let you start focusing on what those root causes, the root cause of some of those issues that are putting out that systematic pain that we're putting Band-Aids on. Because we need to sit down and really focus on what are the solutions that really matter. So right now, I'm going to finish up and just tell you, hey, it's time to get into action. So if you want to discover the power of coaching, please reach out, give me a call. My phone number's right here on the screen. My website's right there. You can follow me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Action Coach Jacksonville is the Facebook. Just find me on Steve Goranson on LinkedIn. And because I'm here to help you get that bird's eye view of your business so you can see the real issues and bottlenecks that are slowing down both your business and your personal growth. So please reach out to me. Let's have a chat. Let me start helping you start working smarter, not harder, and build the business of your dreams and put it into a reality. So, hey, I'm really looking forward to connecting with everybody that's joined us here today, and then on all the replays. And I'm wishing you all much success, happiness, and good health. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.